Okay, this meeting is now recorded. I hope the screen was. So basically, we will be discussing lists. We will be discussing tuples, dictionaries, and sets. If we start with lists are nothing but the sequential data structures of Python. To putting the elements, multiple data types in a sequential way, multiple elements in a single array. We will be using lists a lot. Lists are mutable objects. So basically, everything in Python can be considered as an object. If it is a string, it is a string object. If it is a list, it's a list object. The elements inside a list are also one or the other objects because they are of one or the other data type. Now, define a list. Uh, Another thing, I am using Google Colab here. I will be sharing this notebook directly with everyone. You can also just go to colab.research.com, or you can. It will open up for you because Google 12 GB of RAM and 100 GB of hard disk, free of cost to everyone. So you can use these resources if you have the good internet connection available. You can use this and it just works absolutely fine. So you see just over this. So it is in the lobby. Nice. So if we just hover on this, you can see I have 12.69 GB of total RAM and 107.72 GB of hard disk available with. So just to this one is first. Yes, if I can just find the type, it will return me an output as list because this is of list data type or list data structure. It's up to you. How are you doing? How are you printing the variables if you're using the print function or if you're directly printing it? Both of these will give you the similar kind of result, but some or the other way. Now, there are a couple of methods which we will be doing. We will be finding the length, appending, insert, remove, extend, delete, so on and so forth. Now let's define a list. List one is equals to. Is a list of 4 elements. If I want to find out the length of this, give me an error. So the length of this list is 4. There are 4 elements in this list, and the index of the list starts from 0. So if there are 4 elements in the list, the data type or the index will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 3. So there are 4 elements in the list. However, the index will go from 0 to 3. Similar way, if I want to find out what is there on the 0th, there on the 0th index, I can just go ahead and write 0. From 1 on the what is there on the index, I can go ahead and write first index, second, third, and fourth. What if I write 6th index, which is not available in the list? It will throw me an error. It will say list index out of range. If I want the last element, let's say if I do not know how many elements are there, but if I want the last element from the list, then I can do negative slicing or negative indexing. That's from -1. It starts from. So if I just go -1, then I can find out, okay, the last element in the list is 6.7. And if I just want to find the type of the last element, which is at the end, I can go ahead and use the type. So it will give me float because 6.78 is a float number and it is at the last element. So the list -1 will give me 6.78. and type of 6.78 will give me. That is why the data type of the last element of this list is -1. We can go ahead and append the elements in the list if we want. Using the append, the at the end, I have a list available with me, and if I want to append it, element, let's say 17. You can see now there are 78 element is also added in the list. I can go. The length will be 5 because one element is added in the list. Now, there are 2 to 3 things which we should keep in mind while dealing with these data structures, while dealing with any kind of function or method in Python. If method, okay, is not returning you anything, then the operation is being done on the current data structure. Please keep this in your mind. If I'm doing list one dot I'm just running the code. It is not returning me anything. If you see, I ran it and it did not return me anything. It means the operation is already done on this data structure. Okay, it means the operation is already done. If I just go ahead and print this, the new element is added to the list. So please keep this in mind. If the list or if any kind of operation which you have done, if it is returning you anything, then you can store that into a variable and the changes are not done on your current data structure. However, if it is not returning anything, it means changes are already made. Please keep this in your mind. Now, similar way, if I want to insert an element, sorry, stepper was in the copy. If I want to insert an element in the list, using append, it is added at the extreme end. But using insert, we can provide a location. Okay, we can provide a location. Use insert, I can go ahead and write the index number. Let's say I want to place at second index. I want something else. I want Python to be added at the second. Now it did not return me anything. It means changes are already made to the. So if you see at 0, 1, 2, second index is now taken as Python, and rest of the indexes or rest of the indices are shifted one ahead. So this was my second index. Now it has become third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Similar way, I can go ahead and find out the length of the list. It will be the length of the list is now 7. Any issues in these 3 methods or in length function and append and index insert method? Any issues in this? I will take it as a no. Thank you. If I want to implement this, there are a couple of ways to remove an element from the list. You can use the remove method. Thing to call out here. Let's methods are there which you can use with any kind of data structure, and you want to know that. What you can do, okay, and you can just type. The moment you run it, okay, the methods which you can apply. So you can use append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse, sort. You can do everything with it. Let's say you do not want to use this list, but you have defined a variable for list. To know what are the methods and what are the functions which you can apply on this, then you can go ahead and write your variable name also, and you can run the command. It will still give you the similar kind of result. Let's say I have defined as Shirish, and I want to know what I can do with my string. Go ahead and run it. It will give me whatever I can do. I can capitalize it, I can case fold it, center, count, encode, end bits, expands, everything. You name it, and I have this information available with me. So this is a very good function. I want please keep this handy with possible for you to remember every method every now and then. So even though you know the variable, you do not know the data type or anything like that, it is possible for you to get the information. You can get it. You can just one. The moment you hit remove, it is asking for you to the value. You can just write the value. Let's say I want to remove Python, which I added. Now it did not return me anything. It means changes are already made. And it I should not have Python in my list. I do not have Python in my list available. Similar way, and we have covered append, which the add any particular index for on which we want to add any particular element. There is a stand. There are a couple of people who get confused in both are one or they are one and the same thing, but there is one small change in append and extend. Let's say I have another list, which is another list. Fine. Append B. It did not return me anything. It means changes are made to A. The moment I print it, you see this. There are now 5 elements in my list A. This list B is also considered as an element. So if I go ahead and there are 5 elements in the list. But what if I do not want this kind of merger? I want the continuation. I want the list A to be continuously extended with list B. I do not want this kind of merger. I will again. Now my A is normal and my B is also normal. Just for see, I will print both of them. This is my A and this is my B. What I can do is I can A dot extend B. The moment I run this and the, sorry, I print it. Now I will have my list be in the continuation of A, which is what I exactly wanted. Earlier situation was feasible, but it is not possible or it is not required in some or the other ways. But similar is with extend. Sometimes you do not need lists in this way. Sometimes you need in that way. So you should always keep both of these things in your disposal with you. So this is a very minute difference in append and extend, but it becomes very handy. You can define these two. And I do A plus B. If I just A plus B works exactly same as your extend. A plus B works exactly the same. So if you are using extend or if you're using plus, it is going to give you the exact same thing. Any issues in this? So they will shut up. Now we can use existence operator, which are in if an element is available in a list or not. Not in just to check if it is not available in the list. Let's say if I want to one in A is giving me a true value, it means that it is available. And one not in A, it is going because one is definitely present in A. That is why it is giving me false or true value. Existence operator is always going to give you true or false values. Now let's take this to another level. When I was saying if the value or if the method or if the function is not returning a value, or let's think in that way. Let's use the sort method. We will use the sort method first, then we will use the sorted function. I will and B. I'm going to use both of them. Let's say a dot sort. Provide any kind of argument and I will just run this. I did not receive any kind of return from this method, but then print A. The moment I print, it is going to give me exact same thing because nothing is there. Now it is sorted. If I'm not providing any kind of argument here, then it is going to sort itself in the ascending order. I can now this is an optional argument which is being given to this method. Now my list is reversed in the descending order because I'm reversing. But in both of these cases, it did not return me anything. Until or unless I'm requesting or I'm asking Python to print A, it is not printing for me. Now let's use the sorted method. If I use just say A, it is going to give me the sorted list in the ascending order. Now looking at this, I just ran this one again. If I just print A, I'm going to see the list A as this 1 to 30, 4 and 7. But when I printed sorted A, it gave me 1, 2, 4, 7, 30. Again, I printed A, it gave me the exact original A list because the changes were not made in the original list. This is a difference. If a function or a method is returning you something, returning you the value, it means the changes are not being made in the current data structure. However, if it is not returning anything, these changes are being made to the current data structure. You need to keep these things in your mind. Now I can just assign a variable sorted A and I can print this. Well, print both of them. Now if you see this is my A and this is my sorted. This function did not make any kind of change in the current or in the existing data structure. Please keep this in mind. This is a very useful thing. I hope this is clear. Anything in this? Okay. Now we can use the split method. Let's say I have a string available. And I have this available. I want to convert it into a list. This is the first one. It is so if you just read the documentation which automatically comes up, now it is not coming. I will give now whatever argument or character which we provide in between these quotes or in between these single quotes can be thought of as a delimiter, which we are using to convert or to remove and convert all these elements into a list. We can use in that way. So the comma is being used as a delimiter in this string. This is a string which is available for us. And it is using this comma as a delimiter and it is splitting it. And it is printing me this list using this print function. Sometimes it actually becomes very handy because there are a couple of situations when we have this string available in some or the other way, and we want to convert it into a list to for our analysis purposes. It generally really discussed the indexing and so it's from zero, starts from zero, and it start if I'm coming from left, if I'm going from left to right, then the index will start from zero. If I'm coming from right to left, then my index will start at -1. Let's say if I have the situation where I do not know how many elements are there in my list, then I can go ahead and use -1 as an index. And last time, similar way, I can use slicing. Slicing, you can, let's say, an A list of people from 0th index to 5th index, 4th index. Now, the way slicing works is this. Whatever number which you are providing at the beginning before colon is inclusive. Whatever number which you are providing at the end after colon is not inclusive. So so whatever number you are providing is inclusive. Whatever number you are providing here, -1 is exclusive. The third, and which is the optional argument in this, is called step. Use a third argument, which is the optional argument as a step. Let's say I want to go from 0 to the third index. That is why I've written 4. I want to go by 2 steps. So it will give me first element in the third element. It will not give me the second element in the fifth element. So second element and the fourth element, which will be first index and the third index. It will not give me those two things. So we can use step as a parameter. So in the Python exercise, we have a question which is related with this. Bandra Mumbai question. I guess someone also asked it in the group today. So this is exactly the same thing. We have to use these steps, the slicing, all three parameters to achieve that from the beginning to the end. And then I can print something like, then I can do something like this. It will give me this. Let's say I want to go from beginning to the end, but by the step of 2, I can do something like this. It will give me in this way. Just an additional thing. If you want to reverse the list, then you can do something like this. It will reverse the list for you. You want to go from the beginning to the end, but you want everything in the reversed order. So this is one trick. If you want to reverse your list, you can do in this way. Anything in this? Good. Now let's say if I have an element available in my list and I want to count how many times an element has come. If I want to know how many times an element is there in the list, and then I can do define my A again. And 7 3 times. This 7 element has come. Then I can do A count. I want to know 7. Which element I want to know? I want to know how many times 7 has come. 7 has come 3 times. I can do this. I can do how many times 7 has come. If I want to know, let's say the index of an element, it will give me the index of an element, but it will give me the first occurrence of that index. It will not give me the second and the last sorry, second or third, or if the index or if the number or if the element has come more than once, it is going to give me the first occurrence for the index. So you can use the index method, you can use the count method for your reference. I will just be covering loops for a very short span of time because I wanted to cover the list comprehension. Prior to that, I want to know if this all is clear. We covered length, we covered append, insert, remove, extend, delete. Reverse is exactly the same way this trick works. So what you can do, a dot and it did not return me anything. It means changes are made to my current existing list. So it is reversed now. Reversed works exactly the same way. We have things, we have seen sorting, we have seen indexing, we have seen slicing, we have seen count. The last thing is comprehension. Prior to that, is this much clear with everything? Or do you want me to elaborate anything? You can just unmute yourself, speak, whatever you want to do. Yes, maybe shut up. The difference between and and extend. If you have, let's say, if you have two lists available, the list available with you is if I want B to be included as a single element in A, then I will use append. Okay, let me A dot B to be included as a single element in A. So if you see A at the moment, this is my A. And if you see the length of A, how many elements are there in A? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 elements in A. The index goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 0 to 3. If I want B, which is itself a list, to be included in A as a fifth element, then I will use append. If I just run this, you see, I have only printed it. Do not focus on this area. We have not gone to this area at the moment. So if you see this, now I have 5 elements in my list A. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. This is how we use append. Now, use it. Then I will be using extend. I will be using extend when I do not want the other list to be included as an element, but I want all elements of the second list to be added in the first list as individual elements. Now, if I run this is my C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, just for your reference, just for your reference, the length of A after appending has the length of 5 and C after appending has the length of 8. So it is up to you. It is up to the usage. It is up to the way you want things to be working in your current project or in your current system. You will be using either append or extend as per your requirement. If you have more than one list which you want to add in this way, then you will be using the plus method. Let's say I have one more list, which is E is equals to something, something. You have F, then extend D, then again dot extend, dot extend, dot extend. Then you will be using C plus D plus E plus F. Then all of those lists will be merged together. Let's take that also an example. Let's say now, is this clear? Is the append index? Arun, is this what? Now there is one more function which is available in Python, which is very useful. We generally use it a lot, literally a lot, especially when we are dealing with loops. It's called range. We generally use it and it is very useful for everyone. It works exactly the way slicing and indexing works in lists. Exactly, it works exactly the same way. Let's say, and which is range just 10. Okay. So if you just see the definition of range, start, stop, and step. It also contains, yes, range is a sequence type similar to lists and tuples. Range is also an object, just to keep in mind. Range is also an object in Python. So range also, let's say 3 arguments. One is the stop argument. It's optional. So whatever I am writing in square brackets is optional. And third one is step. Is the or start, you can think of start always starts from 0. Okay, if you are just providing 1, then it is going to start from 0. If you want to stop at a particular moment, then it will stop at 10. Then the step. In ranging, let's say what will happen. It's going to give me a range. Simple range from 0 to 10. It is not going to give me anything. If I use the print function to print range, it does not give me anything. But if I convert it into a list, if I convert this, then you see now my range object is converted into a list and it gave me this. So you can think that range object is actually comprising that. So if you think range has actually comprised, okay, range has actually compressed my range, okay, from any specific number to any specific number in an object, and I can utilize it using the list method or using the list. I can convert it into a list and I can utilize it later. So if I go ahead and use it in this way, I can go ahead and write range from print, and I want to end at 109. Now it is going to give me till 199 because the last one is -1. The way we worked in slicing. Similar way, if I want all using this step 2, I can provide 2. It is going to give me after step 2. You can, whatever number you write, you can actually write it and it will accordingly work. So range object is a very useful object. You should use it because it is going to give you very useful features. Instead of writing the numbers from one range to another, you can go ahead and use the range function or use the range object to get your way out of here. Now I will be using loops just for a. I hope it is. I hope everyone is aware of loops. If not, I will just give you a quick overview. We will be doing for loop here because that is one of the major thing which will be used in list comprehension. List comprehension is another way to deal with things in a very concise way. For that, we need to learn for loop. For loop, if I want for do I have any list available? I have A for I in. Okay, I have my A list available here, which is going from this to this. If I printed my A, it is going to give me like this. Now, how is for loop working? This is a very simple for loop. You write for, you write an iterable. This is an iterable which of your choice. It is not anywhere mentioned. Whatever you want to use, you can. So here you, yes, it will be covered later in the session. Aaron or anyone who will be taking the session will be covering it. I'm just covering it for the comprehension part. Now, or yes, so you use the for, use the for syntax, then you use an iterable. This iterable will be of your choice. Whatever you want to write it, you can write it. Then use the existence operator, which is in, and you use the name of the iterable, which you have already defined. And then you provide a colon. The moment you hit enter, automatically the indentation comes for you. You can go ahead and print the iterable. And it is going to give you the all the items which are available in the list or in the iterable available for you. Let's say if I just define a normal list available for you, say I just run this, it is going to give me A and B. So whatever iterable I write here, I can get the information. Since I'm specifically calling out the word iterable, it means loops only work on iterables. Okay, this is a very only works on iterables, or if you have an object available, you can convert it into an iterable and then work on it. There are some workarounds available, but this is how these things work out. So please keep this in your mind. There are some situations when you have, let's say, dictionaries. You have already seen dictionary. Dictionaries are the pairs of keys and values. So the one element of a dictionary is a key value pair, which looks something like this, where A is your key and B is your value, comma C colon D. Now this is your one element. This is your one element. So according to the data structure, the iterable or the iterable variable, you can call it, changes, and accordingly the things process. So please keep these things in your mind while working with loops. Now let's say if I want the similar thing, we did in the element, it is printing me elements in this form. What if I do not want the code to be written in like this? Let's say I have a sample list of it. And I want to append this will do. Well, it is going to define an empty list for me. On the second line, it is going to go in A. Then it is going to come in the for loop. It is going to append the first element of the A in sample list. Then again it will run, till the end. And if I print sample list is going to have the same elements as A. A loop ran, simple. Now, what if I do not want to print? What if I do not want to use these 4 lines? I want to use a comprehensive. I can for I in A. It gave me the exact same thing. Now, this is a list comprehension. What had happened here? Focus on this area first, then we will go to this area. What it is doing, it is taking the first element from A, and then it is going there. Again, it is taking the second element from A, then it is going there. Again, this third element from A, and then going there. And then at the end, it is automatically appending the sample list, which I'm printing it here. So list comprehension is a very concise way to write your code. Sometimes it becomes very confusing because it becomes confusing sometimes. So let's say if I want this cube squares and cubes in here. Now I created a tuple inside of a list comprehension. It is taking I, it is squaring that I, and it is cubing that I, and it is putting it in the tuple. Similar way, it is taking the second element of A. It is doing the exact same operation and putting it into a tuple. And it is doing the exact same thing for everything. So using list comprehension, you can do couple of tasks which are possible using normal loops. But list comprehension gives you a very simple and concise way. List comprehension, dictionary comprehension, sets comprehension are very useful way to work on these things. Yes, that is probably all which we are going to. Let's see. Yes, that is all which we are going to cover today. Anything in this? We'll start sharing. Okay, Mukesh says it's clear. Thank you so much. Any other questions which you are having related to the course or any topic to understand? We can also discuss it. I have already shared the notebook in the group. Start the recording. Okay. Could you please explain the list comprehension part one more time? Sure.